What if there was a safe space for you to explore artificial intelligence? What if there was a team of friendly professionals waiting to help you examine what you can do with AI in your courses? Welcome to the world of what if.
My name is Vini, and I'm one of the multimedia producers here at COSI. And I'm really excited for today's presentation, as I will introduce to you a tool that I recently discovered in the last couple of weeks that essentially turns out that it's pretty easy to use. So if you have any idea, whether it may be a single prompt or something that you thought about, when you've been, planning or thinking about to just make a video in general, it could create a video effortlessly for you. So I think the goal for today really is to obviously explain to you guys what is video in AI, how it works, and just give you a live demo of the tool. Okay, and really my goal as we navigate throughout this presentation and this demo is to give you just be able to create something that's fully fleshed and publish ready, whether it may be for your course, for YouTube, social media, LinkedIn, whatever it may be. That's the whole plan for today. All right. So what is Invideo AI? So to start off, it's a really powerful tool, but it's a cloud-based editing software. It's a tool that AI, it helps users create videos. And through the use of AI, you're able to either generate AI-generated videos, stock videos, faceless videos, animated tutorials, all these like things that you would see in social media or YouTube, done without any use of recording, editing yourself, any voiceover, all that stuff. You don't have to do it yourself. Just through the use of text and typing, you're able to get something fully fleshed out and done. So some key features that Invideo AI offers is, like I said, text to video. So by simply converting text prompts into full-fleshed videos. And when I mean fully fleshed, like they are ready to be published on any of these platforms, whether it may be for your course or just like YouTube, any social media account. It also includes voice cloning. So you can clone your voice. You essentially upload 30 seconds of any recorded audio of yourself or of somebody else that you want to use. And that could be then interpreted to narration. So you would write a prompt out, and that prompt would then be, a voiceover narration of what you have. So it's pretty cool if you want to, create a lecture video about what you'll see here, like how a volcano erupts. Instead of you having to sit there and record a 5-minute long video, you write the prompt, and the AI tool can use your voice as a narration. It also includes subtitle generation, auto-generates subtitles, which is important these days. Another cool feature that I like is the music and sound effects. So outside of just the visuals, you can also push the story of what you're trying to explain or teach with music and sound effects, whether it may be something dramatic or inspiration or inspirational, epic, or even like exciting. Through the use of music and subtle sound effects, you can add more to your video. Another thing that Invideo AI offers is stock media. With the free plan, and we're going to discuss this later as we get through the demo, you have access to story blocks and iStock as your, sort of like library of stock footage. But it also includes animations, graphics, but really the most popular tool in Invideo AI is the AI generated videos. That is probably, one of the biggest features that they promote, and what I feel like is the best use for this tool is that piece of feature. And the last one is translation. So it can translate your content into 50 different languages. So whether, again, if you're an educator, you're a content creator, I'm just wanting to send this to my family, like, and it's translated in Spanish or Japanese, you can do that, and it can translate up to 50 different languages. All right. So like I mentioned in the beginning, it's so effortlessly to make these videos. So what you see on the top and the bottom is kind of like two completely different, videos, but it's interesting because I wanted to kind of give people an idea of what AI generated videos it can create, and also the stock videos or the stock footage that they offer. So on the top, the prompt was create a, I believe it was like a Willy Wonka movie trailer, but instead of like Willy Wonka as the main character, it's Darth Vader, So it's him, showing his chocolate factory, and it's pretty interesting seeing like what it generated with like the little Oompa Loompas being the stormtroopers, and his hat, and then the chocolate and the candy being Star Wars related. But then in the bottom, a little bit more actual better use case scenario, I used this for a course that I'm building, which is for white collar crimes. And I was like, create, a 4-minute explainer video of what white collar crime is. And if you don't know what white collar crimes is, it's just, it's the type of crime that you see that lurks behind, offices that deals with fraud. If you heard of like Ponzi schemes, Bernie Madoff, all these like big financial corporate, like, Ponzi schemes, like that's what that is. And I was like, hey, I need something to help me, it was more for ideation and pre-production. And what you see down there is all generated by stock footage, which is through Storyblocks and iStock. So literally through just me typing a couple words, I kind of like also like to use ChatGPT in conjunction to help me write these prompts. I was able to come out with what you see here. There is voiceover, narration, there's music, there's sound effects, but for the sake of what we're explaining now, I just wanted you to see visually what that is. So for you that's here today, obviously our faculty and staff, our goal is to also show you how you can transform your course content, whether it may be for a lecture video or a training for your staff, whatever it may be. Again, you're able to generate these videos without a use of any cameras, editing, software, nothing too complicated, which allows you as a new, a beginner user to be able to create a video and have a more personal touch. And we'll break that down again even further as we go through the demo. So before we jump in, I kind of just want to acknowledge something like that's important here, is that this tool really doesn't replace us creatives, the human creativity. I believe that it helps us facilitate the repetitive, mundane tasks when it comes to editing, but it allows us to focus on the creativity and the storytelling aspect. Some strengths that this tool has, it can save you hours of very basic editing. It can produce pretty good videos instantly. In the span of I think the longest it took for me was 5 minutes, 6 minutes long. And it's just a simplified version for anyone that's starting to edit videos for the first time. If you are a beginner in video editing, this is probably the start for you. But obviously for humans, for us creatives, we have a more detailed and nuanced version of editing these videos. We can avoid more mistakes, like AI. Typically, when you'll see some of the videos you'll see today, there's a lot of mistakes here and there, and we have to catch that and adjust it. But the main thing that I like to talk about is that we add a little bit more emotion, depth, and storytelling to our videos. So once again, just some use cases for us here as faculty and staff for FAU. We can again, unpack that more in our demo, but some of the things that came to mind were explainer videos. So if you're creating short educational videos for your courses, this is a good way to start by doing that. Other training materials that you can develop for your staff is another way. It could also be used for social media content. And then I think one of the biggest ones that I promote this or talk about this is storyboarding. This is like a pre-viz, like you don't necessarily need to use this as your final product, but it could be a version of what you started. It could be like, hey, this is how we can bridge that gap for us to, create that, in the long term. But in the beginning, this is what we can work with, okay? So let's go ahead and start our demo. If you're following along with me, you can go to invideoai.io and we can go and follow along. So let me open it up here. So when you log in, you're going to see it's pretty straightforward. It's just you can use your Google account or any FAU account that you may have, or just create a single account with an email address. And once you log in, it's going to take you to this page that you see here. I'll briefly talk about the plans at the end, but just for now, what we're going to focus the most on today is not the AI generated videos, because that is a premium version of this tool. We're only going to be working on the stock footage tool. So whatever you've seen before from the presentation and everything else that we're going to show as well, as far as like the generative pics, that is extra. You have to pay for credits. But with the stock footage, you're able to create some decent tools. So the first key to creating a really good, AI generated stock footage video is writing a clear and detailed prompt. So like any, software that you've used, whether it's ChatGPT or Midjourney, the more detail you put in your prompt, the better the output, right? So if I just say, hey, create me like a video on birds, like that's so generic. You don't know, you're going to get something that maybe you don't necessarily want. So the more detail you add, the better. So there's some, key features that you should add when writing your prompt. The first one is just like the platform. So for today, we can, sort of demo a quick example that I've done previously. So that way we don't have to wait the entire time that we're here. So let me pull up the prompt that I wrote, and that way you can see it. But we can walk through it step by step. So the first thing is the platform. So is it going to be for YouTube? Is it going to be social media, so like Instagram, YouTube Short, or is it like a presentation? So you can specifically decide that. So right off the bat, I'm going to say, create me a video for YouTube, followed by your topic. So currently, I'm building a course. It's a really big course with 12 different professors on the human mission to Mars, and each module is different topics, from biologists, psychologists, engineers, architect, to how we would be able to go to Mars. And it's interesting because like there's so many facets that go into it, and I'm not no expert in science or in anything in this field. So it's been interesting to learn exactly how to use this or learn of how we would travel to Mars. But to further, enhance this, I wanted to use this topic for our demo today. So the topic is going to be on human missions to Mars. Another thing that, I'll mention later, but you can also link references to any article, blog, or website from the web in your prompt, so that it could generate a script based off, what somebody wrote, or maybe what you wrote, whether it's a script already, you can pre-generate a script. Or if you have something here, like I pulled up a website from NASA, and their article is how they're developing and how they're planning for a mission to Mars. So it doesn't, again, I don't want to leave any room for error for the AI to say, yeah, to go to Mars, you need, X. And then this thing is not actually true, So to get true information, you want to maybe link references to anything online that your script can help, enhance that. So I just wanted to mention that really quick. So the next thing is the structure. So this is very, subjective. You can decide on how you want your structure to be. But the way I wanted it to be, I want the topic to be introduced right in the beginning with the title text, and then conclude it by asking the viewers if you want to take part of this generation that makes this leap. So I'm telling it, like, make sure to say that. A lot of times it does what I say, and if it doesn't, I can catch that and make a tweak and tell it to fix it. And the next thing here is the language and how it's going to be presented. So what I'm saying to the tool here is saying, keep the language simple and clear for anyone to understand. A lot of times if you leave that empty, it, again, either talks too fast, it goes way too slow, it says a lot of complicated jargon that you're like, okay, I don't know what this means. So again, the more detail you add to it, the better. This one's one of my favorite. It's deciding on the voiceover preference. So they have a library of an insane amount of like accents. So I chose like a Southern American male voice. I'm a huge like Interstellar fan, so I just think of like Matthew McConaughey reading this or the voiceover for this video. Even though I'm telling you, ruining the surprise is not going to be anything close to that, but I did like that style and hoping that it could keep that in the video. And then the final two is the music and the sound effects. So I asked it to add a sci-fi music similar to Interstellar film score. And then the main thing, what I mentioned in the beginning, it's picking points from this website. And if I go here to this website, you'll see it's still very generic, but it has some facts. It talks about like distance. It's 33 million to 249 million miles away from Earth, always changing. Its population, 0, obviously, but things like that might not be so obvious, but other things that are, related to what we're talking about needs to be relevant to the video. So talks about like how food should be sourced, water should be harnessed in Mars, power, all these things that I wanted to be included into this video. All right, so, and you can see here like how many characters it like allows. It lets you go up to 32,000 characters, and I only used 470. So the more details, the better, guys. So I'm not gonna click generate, but I'll show you what was the next step. Like I'll let this generate and you can see what goes after that. But we're gonna go to the actual one that I made. So in general, it's about 5 minutes long. It's like 2 steps. It creates a sort of like a rough draft for you before you view it, and it's gonna prompt up something else. So I'll let that show while it thinks, and we can go to the first one that I made. While that is loading up. Another cool feature is that they have 24-hour support. If you click this button over here, you can talk to anyone, and you can say, hey, I'm stuck here. I don't know where to go. Like, how do you use this tool? I found that really useful, and for anybody that's again learning this tool and doesn't know how to do certain things, by reaching out to support right on the bottom, you can access a ton of information at a few clicks just by asking somebody, hey, how do you find this? So while that's loading, oh, did it change? No. So this is what it would look like after that second step. I'll play the video in a couple minutes. But one thing I will want to like give you guys a quick preview is that you can generate more commands over the top of what was already generated. So when I initially wrote, it's the same prompt that I just showed you guys. If I wanted to be, let's say, in Spanish, or if I wanted to add subtitles, I can just type right here, make it, add subtitles, highlighting every word that's being said, or I'll say, translate it to Spanish, and it will do that right after it's been already generated. So before I do that, I wanted to see, there we go. That's what I wanted to show. So this is what it looks like before I click continue. It's just like another layer of more, I guess, like edits or features that you want to include for your video that helps the prompt. So I didn't tell it how long I want the video to be. So this is the time that I could be like, oh, I want it to be a minute long, 10 minutes for who the audience should be, whether it's space enthusiasts, the general public or students. And then the platform, again, I already specified that, but it like gives you another option. And then up here is what I was telling you about. The stock media is what we're going to be using today, is the free plan. That's what we can only use. But the generative media is a really cool tool that it generates what you saw in the Darth Vader, Willy Wonka GIF that you saw. And we can kind of like see the final outcome here. So once you decide what you want it to be, you can click continue. But I wanted to play this video here so that y'all can see how that came out. So I'm going to play this in full screen right now.
Wondered what it would take to live on Mars? Let's dive into the mission of a lifetime. Mars ain't just another planet in the night sky. It's a frontier, a challenge, and maybe even a new home. With temperatures from minus 284 degrees Fahrenheit to 86 degrees Fahrenheit and an atmosphere that's 96% carbon dioxide, it's clear Mars ain't for the faint-hearted. But NASA's up for the challenge. They're developing tech like MOXIE to make breathable oxygen and advanced spacesuits that are like personal spaceships. With fission surface power, we'll have reliable energy even during those crazy dust storms. Plus, they're researching how to grow food and recycle water, making long missions sustainable. Imagine, fresh lettuce on Mars. The science goals are out of this world. Finding out if Mars ever had life, understanding its potential for human habitats, and learning about the origins of life. So, will you be part of the generation that makes this giant leap? Let's reach for the stars, y'all.
I don't know. I can kind of hear Matthew McConaughey a little bit in it, but you know, it did a decent job, right? Like I feel like there were moments that I know that I need to change, and this is what's cool about this tool. So let's go in there and show you a little bit more in depth of what else we could do. So there were a couple of clips that I know for a fact that I want to remove, whether it's a still image, like you can have an image, you know, it pulls from that, but let's say I don't feel like, you know, let's see, this infographic relates to what's happening on the script. Even though it talks about, you know, the surface power, I could then go to the stock media tab and search for anything related to what was being said. You know, you can even search up, like right now, it's giving you a suggested list. If I could, let me see if this helps. Yeah, zoom out a little more. It's giving you some suggested clips over that part. So you can choose from what you see here. If not, you can just type in exactly what you think you want. So I'm going to go with what I saw over here. I don't know if this was used already, but I can go back and see. Yeah, I don't think so. So I'll then click apply. So now, literally with the click of a button, I was able to change one of the clips that I didn't feel that met the look and feel. Another thing that you could change is the script in itself. Like if you go to script up top here, click save. So it looks like, yeah, you got to click save and then go back to that. But I can change the script. You know, there's certain parts where it felt kind of like, hey, let's go do this and that. And then like, it didn't feel like the story, like it felt like a little, he was joking around a little bit too much. And I want it to be serious, so I can change that. As well as the music, if I want it to be a little bit more energetic, more dramatic, I can change that right on the spot. And you know, to go back to what we mentioned in the beginning, like because this is a free version, you have up to 4 downloads per week, right? You're not able to remove the watermarks. That's baked in, that's burned into the video, but you have 4 downloads per week, and that resets, you know, every 7 days. But you can still generate a ton of videos without downloading. The moment you download it, it counts as 1. So if you look at my library, it's like I have like 10 already just in there in the chamber, just ready to go. Another thing I wanted to talk about within Invideo AI is, let's say you don't really have a good structure of your prompt. They give you workflows to start from. So if you go here to home and you go to create AI video from scratch, if you click workflows, they have like preset things that you can already start from, instead of you trying to generate from the top of your head, like I want a explainer video or I want a faceless short video, or again, this will be AI generated, but if you have that premium plan, you can click on one of them and it generates a sort of like workflow template that you can follow. So I thought this was pretty cool because, you know, as a lot of you may know, like prompting is like, it's another whole other language, you know. Trying to learn how to communicate in that world is difficult. So they already did the heavy lifting for you by sort of creating that workflow. So that is one thing I did wanted to briefly mention. But if we go back to the first one that we just did, I believe it was this guy. And then we're here back in the edit. We could then go again to the music. We can change the music that the stock media offered for you. You can upload your own music, but the main thing is the script. You know, I think the script is important because as a faculty or staff member, if you are trying to, you know, write something that relates to you or what you want it to sound like, you can go in there and fix that. These are just small presets. I think, you know, for audio like EQing, you can adjust or audio mixing, excuse me. If you felt like the music was too loud compared to the narrator, you can adjust that. Again, this is all live. You know, you do this and it'll affect the video. And again, you see here the narrator is a Southern accent with a warm, engaging quality similar to a famous actor's voice. So I wonder who that is. And that's really about it. You know, like there are so many tools that Invideo offers. It's like 30 built in Invideo. Like you could, you know, if you want to just create a single clip, an AI generated clip, you can. If you want to remove a background from your video, you can. You know, they have so many tools within Invideo AI. But I do believe that the video generation, the text to video, is their most powerful one. And I did want to show a couple of what they have here as an actual generative pics. This is from their staff. We'll play a quick clip here for you guys to see what that looks like. So let me full screen it and play it from the beginning. It's a 40-second video, and the prompt says, create a minute-long montage showing the restoration of a red Mustang. Settings make it hyper-realistic and micro-detail oriented using AI-generated videos, 1 minute long. So I'll play this here for you guys to watch. So that was that. I mean, again, there's so many unique options here that people have created from AI generated that is just exciting, you know, to see. Like even short films that they promote are in this list. But again, these are premium versions of it. So last thing I did want to show is, like, if you did want to upgrade it to that, these are what the prices are. You know, the most expensive being $95 a month, but that's if you do the yearly off. But it gives you 15 minutes of generative credits, which is a lot of time, you know. But before that, you get 60 seconds of generative credits. But again, this is something that I would encourage you, if you're starting to edit for the first time, you could jump on this tool and you'll be able to sort of create something from nothing. And that's kind of like the goal here, is to get people excited. But also, if you are creating this for your course, this would be a different approach to, you know, online learning, you know, whether it may be for a course, also for any faculty, whether it may be training videos, like I said in the beginning, or just ideation process, or if you just like editing videos and you want to do that for a hobby, this is a cool tool.